story. I guess it says story. Let's just say that. And what it was, what I was getting the impression of, and I was out there, I was behind the person and the dimension. So I was out here looking, and what it was explaining to me was how a lot of people were living a story. Hey guys, welcome to the Just High Now show, the Just Think About It, where you combine your mind with your heart, connect those two circles, and you let whatever come out, just come out. Now, this is for the Real Spirits Dynamic channel, and what I have to say is, where are we living? Where are we living at today? What is reality? What's real? What's fake? Is there even a difference between real or fake, or is it just another separation term put out to make us fight against each other? So what I really want to get into right now is the simulation theory. Now again, or to start off with, I do not promote the use of psychedelic drugs. This channel, none of this does not promote the use of illegal or legal drugs. This is all just Thai thoughts. I'm just connecting with the Thai-ness. This is what I do. I like to just tie. Now, I was looking it up. I got it on the phone. Simulate. That's why I'm gonna stick to the term simulation, because we all get all murky out there and we be like, oh, well, simulation is not really the right term. It's not a simulation or stuff like that. But I'm gonna break it down to just say why I'm gonna stick to the word simulation for general purpose, so we all get the meaning. So it says on Google, I typed in etymology, it says 1920s, feign, pretend, assume falsely. And it's from the Latin word simulus, which means to make, imitate, copy. To use a model to imitate certain conditions for purposes of study or training. That's where the simulation comes from. And that was cool. That says to use a model to imitate certain conditions for purposes of study or training. Now, we're going to take it back, because I'm going to give only my personal experience. Y'all heard all the big names out there, the Elon Musk, even some Plato, if you really get into the shadows with the fire and what he was really talking about, and how we're all paying attention to the shadows, but the real thing is going on behind the fire. The actual flame is real, but we believe the shadow is real. That really ties into to all of this. But from my personal experience, started with when I was experimenting with acid back in the day. I was getting a lot of thoughts of like nothing was what people were saying it was. Nothing, not even myself. And that I was like, yo, why is this blue? Is it blue because I'm looking at it as blue? Well, this has other colors in it too, blues and pinks and stuff. This is ocarina. But I was like, yo, is it blue because, is this always blue? Like or is it just because I was told it was blue? So now I forever see it as blue. So my beliefs was getting out of whack, because I was seeing it in those other states as something other than blue. Like it would change colors. I would see all the hues of the blue. So when I came back to Earth, so to speak, or when the trip died down, let's just keep it regular. When the trip died down, just tie with me, I just saw back to blue. Now I was like, was this because I trapped myself back in a belief system? And that's why I see it as blue, because ever since we're born, we come into this world, we come out the womb, or even while we're in the womb, who telling? I know as soon as we come out the womb, we don't know what's going on. We just see the doctors, we see the bright lights, and we just crying, you crying and crying. I think all babies cry. But you don't know what's going on. They give you a name and all of this. And I have a daughter as well, so I know I was teaching her, this is blue. This is what blue is. And just me training her on different things that was around her atmosphere, because I was like, this is what I'm realizing. This is what I believe in. Yeah, this is what I believe in. So this is going to help you navigate too. But what is really going on is that I was passing down a belief system, just like I was passed down a belief system. Because that's where reason really trips out this world right now. Because and when it comes to intuition is really pushed off. And my intuition really tells me that this is not all that there is. That there is something behind the scenes running the game. Think of it like a video game. Think of it like a video game, like, man, turn left, turn right, like you pressing the buttons on the controller and things like that, and you changing the certain clothes, and like you say you want to wear these clothes, so this is what you choose to wear, and that person in the video game, say GTA 5, that was a big turnaround in my life that brought me to these realizations, was realizing how I was controlling this character in GTA 5 and how he's not aware of anything that I'm doing. He's not aware that I have a family. He's not aware of anything like that. All he's aware of that he's moving around, and sometimes he just stands still and he doesn't know why. He doesn't know that I put the game on pause, or he probably doesn't even realize that the game was on pause. He just, when you press unpause, he just snap back in reality. Just think about these things. Just think about all these topics I'm throwing at y'all. That's what I'm not here to make y'all believe in anything. I'm just here for you to just tie. So, what was going on past that? So dealing with these substances, it was opening up my mind to what was out there, and what I was reading in my alchemical books about the gears that lay behind the universe, and the gears that turn and run the universe, and how everything run like clockwork, or how what we see is just the plane of causality, and the plane of effects, and not the plane of causality. If you read the Kabbalion, it talks about that, and how over and over again, you can't make any change here. Like, you can't make change here. The change happens somewhere else. And me reading these books, I was like, yo, this is like the astral plane. That's how I was seeing in terms of the astral plane and reading it. But once I actually experienced like leaving out of body experiences it came down to psilocybin mushrooms after that, it was really having a toll on my reason, because like I was saying, we stick to reason a lot, because we like, if one thing was like this before, it's going to be like this again. This is where our science has been based off of. Like, we did this experiment 100 times. Every time we look at this, is blue. So when we look at this the 101st time, it's going to be blue. Because in my sense, that's what we choose to believe in, because we've seen it done 100 times over and over and over again. So with these substances, they allow me to see for the 101st time with fresh eyes. And for me, that's without a belief system, without thoughts getting in the way of something from the so-called past telling me that no, my guy, this is blue, don't trip out. It probably got some pink spots, but this is blue, bro. So, yeah, it's just how, guys. It was a lot going on, because a recent trip that I had was it was the mushroom explaining to me, because I believe it's way deeper than it just being a video game, than just playing a controller and things. It goes way much deeper than that, because I was shown a vision of how people are living a story. Let's put it like this. It was all blackness everywhere, and it was something that his hand out. It was a representation of a hand, and it was where the earth was, like this dimension, so to speak. And it was made up of a bunch of stories. Like, I literally saw books, and it was written on it says story. I guess it says story. Let's just say that. And what I was getting the impression of, and I was out there, I was behind the person and the dimension. So I was out here looking, and what it was explaining to me was how a lot of people were living a story. We're living out a story that was already written. And for me, this goes into simulation, like living out a story that's already written, like we're in a book. and we're just walking through where we are the word, we are the living word and made flesh and in this dimension. But it's just a book written by somebody, in the beginning and the end is already written. But what I was told was that since I was outside of that I was able to edit certain things. And I don't know if it's like I get a vision of a Twilight Zone episode where this guy started seeing just tie with me, keep up with me. It was this Twilight Zone episode where this guy was mowing. He had a head injury and he was able to see a guy mowing the lawn. And I mean, spraying chemicals on his lawn that was killing it. Nobody else was able to see it. They just was like, oh man, you didn't water the grass. So it just played off to everybody else, oh, the grass is dying. But he saw somebody literally spraying the grass like but eventually he talked to him. He's like, yo, you're not supposed to be able to see me. You're not supposed to be able to see me. Like, how do you see me? And he was like, I don't know. But my life is shit and I want to change it around. I don't like the way it's happening and stuff. And for some reason, getting a clue, and he was able to go to this editor. He was able to go up to this big building and go to these editors. And he had different compartments, and this lady was working on his story. He's like, yo, you can't be here. But he told his story and they allowed them to change something. But in my reality, this is what was told to me, and this is what it was just shown. It was probably my interpretation and voice, but this is what was shown to me. Everybody's letting out their story, and I was able to because I pushed myself to this place and point in time. So man, that just has me tying a lot, because this world around us, just to even talk about the scientists, they're coming to the conclusion that this world is just made of a bunch of ones and zeros at the tiniest bit. And that's when it comes to science. I believe in science. I just know that these experiences push us to actually believe in it instead of just seeing the math. Like, say, we had an awesome conversation over on True Life channel where we was talking about how when everything that you take in is from your lights interpreting the photons that's being emitted or bounced off of objects that's all around you. But when in these experiences, somebody was talking about how they were experiencing that photon breaking down real slowly and turning into the image, or being fractalized and creating the image and things like that. And how it seems fast in this dimension, but it was actually broken down and he's able to actually witness it. So the math, the science, it catches up to it. I mean, it explains it in terms of reason and things, or just in math. But with these experiences, is people out here actually experiencing defragmenting from this reality, and a lot of people are not able to explain it, and they're written off as crazy or loony, until now you have all these billionaires like Elon Musk talking about, oh, we probably live in a simulated reality, or Joe Rogan when he have the podcast, when he has the physicists on talking about, oh, we probably live in a simulation. But I remember Dr. Green from PBS, he had this awesome what I was talking about, that was that now people are really listening. But way back then, Dr. Green, it was a PBS, he had something called the Holographic Universe. And it was an awesome documentary, and visually stunning documentary, because he was splitting himself up into threes, and he was talking about the quantum world and things like that. Because the quantum world, when you really tie on it, like, that's quantum world is this world. This is everything. You don't really have to zoom in. I think that there's something cool is happening when you zoom in. You're able to see it and things like that with the math and all of that. But we're made out of quantum particles, the same protons, the quarks, the newtons, the gravitons, all of that stuff. That's what we're made out of. So what that means in my mind when it comes to simulation is that if you just tie on it, nothing really can something exist if you're not observing it? Or does it exist as the way that your mind is constructing it if you're not observing it? Because in the quantum world, the particles, y'all know that experiment, the double split experiment, where they shot a particle through two splits in the screen, and then it came out as an interference pattern or as a dot, depending on if it was an observer looking at it. So it was as if if when an observer was not looking at it, it was as if the beam dot went through both at the same time. But when he was looking at it, he was able to see that it just went through one. And then when he retracted, it retracted as if it just went through one. But when you're not observing that at all, it just goes through both at the same time. And the pattern on the other side, the interference pattern, suffices to justify what I'm saying. Because and this is real, this has been known since the 60s, but this is what's been talked about in our and when it comes to simulation, is that if you just tie on it, nothing really can something exist if you're not observing it? Or does it exist as the way that your mind is constructing it if you're not observing it? Because in the quantum world, the particles, y'all know that experiment, the double split experiment, where they shot a particle through two splits in the screen, and then it came out as an interference pattern or as a dot, depending on if it was an observer looking at it. So it was as if when an observer was not looking at it, it was as if the beam dot went through both at the same time. But when he was looking at it, he was able to see that it just went through one. And then when he retracted, it retracted as if it just went through one. But when you're not observing that at all, it just goes through both at the same time. And the pattern on the other side, the interference pattern, suffices to justify what I'm saying. Because and this is real, this has been known since the 60s, but this is what's been talked about in our guys, when it comes to the quantum world, just tie with me, combine your mind with your heart, let them two circles combine. That's alchemy for you guys. It's some alchemy. But when you actually tie about the quantum world, and let's just say this, they say in the quantum world, particles are everywhere. They're spinning in both directions. They're doing when you vibrate one, the other one vibrate no matter how far away. All this stuff is happening on the really tiny smallest level. But if you tie about it, that's what we're all made out of anyway. The quantum world is this world. This is everything. You don't really have to zoom in. I think that there's something cool is happening when you zoom in. You're able to see it and things like that with the math and all of that. But we're made out of quantum particles, the same protons, the quarks, the neutrons, the gravitons, all of that stuff. That's what we're made out of. So what that means in my mind when it comes to simulation is that if you just tie on it, nothing really can something exist if you're not observing it? Or does it exist as the way that your mind is constructing it if you're not observing it? Because in the quantum world, the particles, y'all know that experiment, the double split experiment, where they shot a particle through two splits in the screen, and then it came out as an interference pattern or as a dot, depending on if it was an observer looking at it. So it was as if when an observer was not looking at it, it was as if the beam dot went through both at the same time. But when he was looking at it, he was able to see that it just went through one. And then when he retracted, it retracted as if it just went through one. But when you're not observing that at all, it just goes through both at the same time. And this is real, this has been known since the 60s. But this is what's been talked about in our high grade philosophies and the deepest esoteric religious texts. Not the exoteric, but the esoteric religious texts about how everything is consciousness. Everything is consciousness. So with that, everything is changing. Everything is not always the same. And that just has me tying on where we are now, that we believe in that everything is always the same. So much so that we think it's so boring that now we're creating VR and everything in order to now trap ourselves inside a simulation inside of a simulation, so to speak. But overall, guys, I see this all, remember, simulate, when I was looking it up, meant a training ground. And that's kind of what I see this as Earth being a training ground. Because the Earth is hurting. We're treating Mother Earth so wrong because we're disconnected from nature. And what I mean by nature is, look at how the indigenous tribes are being disconnected from nature, from this new culture that we're so caught up in now. I think that nature is realizing, keeping that nature in us, as the indigenous tribes do around the world, is realization of this Maya, realization of this illusion of what's going on. And then when you realize that it's an illusion, we're able to see how much harmony it actually exists in the world, and how much we are actually playing a huge part in that. How much we are supposed to take care of where we are, take care of Earth. Like, we're sentient, we're here walking around on two legs. I was thinking about standing up straight. But we're here standing up straight, doing all of these things. And we think that this is all it. We think that this is all it. And we also think that we don't have the power to change things in a way of actually harmonizing it, because we see so much destruction. And that's when I go into the story aspect, because it seems like we're being told a story of anger, of destruction, that's all that ever existed with humans, and that's all that's ever going to exist. We're going to war, we're going to fight, we're going to do all of this. And yeah, that's probably true to keep for balance sakes and things like that, of the complete universe of chaos and love and stuff always harmonizing and things like that. But I believe a time is coming where we're going to realize more of where we are. Like, everybody, the scientists, the scientists, and the people that's dealing with psychedelics, and people that's searching for knowledge, people that's searching for true knowledge. And and not getting caught up in all the whoop-wah and all the egotism and things like that. Because the ego, I'm seeing, is something that exists here as this AI body. Like, I believe our bodies are artificial intelligences. Like, they just running off a program, and it's not something always being connected, just saying turn left and turn right. But we're sentient. We're here on Earth, running, doing around, and and most people are. But dealing with these plant medicines is like, for me, I feel like I'm getting connected back to the controller, to what's actually, to source, to whatever you want to call that, God. But I see it as being an aspect of myself, and that this being just a lower aspect of what's out there. But it be in everything. Like, you're everything. Like, right in here is everything. Like in a hologram, so to speak, you can recreate a whole hologram from just one little piece of data from it. You can recreate the whole picture. So I believe, looking at me, you're looking at the whole universe. You're looking at the whole everything. And looking at you, you're everything. I'm looking at the whole universe back. That's where that term reflections for me comes into play. You don't really see that if you don't know or believe or just follow that truth. Just follow the truth, because every truth is but a half truth. But follow that truth of that this world is not what it is, and it probably is a simulation. For whatever reasons, it can be an infinite amount of simulations with an infinite amount of parallel realities. Because I'm talking about death. Like, where do you really go when you die? Do you transfer over to another reality where you just have a whole nother life where you didn't die, but you had a whole nother circumstances play out? Because I just see that as this lower nature, of us is just our lower nature, and it is something else probably so much bigger. I just have a sense of that something so much bigger. But this sense of me that's here is going to be going through something forever. Like I'm always going to exist. It seems like that is most true. That is most true right now. And with that, it gives me a sense of power, because a lot of people say, man, if this is such a simulation, then I can just do anything. I can just run around, chop people heads off. Because, people in GTA, most time, as soon as they get in there, they just want to shoot around, test out some guns on some people, on pedestrians, and blow up cars. And we see these tendencies in people all over the world. So, so what's really going on? What's really going on? I don't know what I was just talking about. But what's really just think about these things. But yeah, guys, I'm not in this to say what's right or what's wrong. I'm not in to make you believe any of this. I'm just letting you know my experiences, and that dealing with these substances, I'm really taking out of my body. And if whatever that means, it feels as though I'm taken out of whatever this simulation is, or whatever this simulation was programmed to be. As if I'm a hacker. Remember Neo in the Matrix? His squad was hackers. They was hacking computers and things like that. Like, I really believe that with these substances, we're able to hack the system some way or another. Rather it's dealing with the brain chemical or something else bigger that then correlates to your brain working and correlating better. What I mean by that, correlating better, is the different neurons in your brain firing off and talking to each other that weren't used to talking to each other before. Now, this is real science. When you scan the brain under psilocybin and LSD, it is more lit up in places than people that have taken the placebo at the same moment in time. So it is something bigger going on. And I'm loving this experience of being able to tap into it. And you could tap into this as well. This is what I believe these are rooms you go into when you meditate and really let your thoughts wander. Let your thoughts wander somewhere off of this island. Think of A Bug's Life. All of the awesome movies, the main character leaves the island, leaves everything that he thought was how it was supposed to be. And everybody around him was comfortable with how that was being run. It's always that one character that just goes off, comes back, and is like, yo guys, I gotta tell you something. And I'm going to sound a little crazy, but y'all always thought I was a little crazy. So just tie with me, just tie. But yeah, guys, that's what I got about the simulation today. Thank y'all for tuning in. Shout outs to Real Spirits Dynamics for supporting the Just Tie Now channel. Just think about it. TAI, not THI like the food. Now, if y'all want to leave some comments, let me know what's going on. Check us out on the Instagram, the Facebook, Just Tie or Just Tie Now. It's whatever handlebar. It should still pop up. Check us out on YouTube. Check out where I upload videos on cooking and all this other cooking with mushrooms and ways to stay healthy, and just other Thai thoughts on magic and whatever comes up, guys. I love and appreciate all of y'all for listening and for just coming by this channel. This was all meant for a reason. So I really appreciate it. Take care, guys. And I'm gonna say, we all Thai, but do we really Thai? Sometimes, I don't know, dude. Sometimes I really don't know. Till next time, this is Ty saying Ty always.